Most people spend their entire lives climbing the ladder of success and reach the top only to realize that they were leaning against the wrong wall. Today's corporate world is facing a silent epidemic. The narcissist CEOs who fool everyone, the control freaks who destroy the very morale of the teams, and a system that is actively pushing out the best talent. So, what is the solution? How do we fix this problem? So, welcome to Identity First. Our guest today is qualified to answer these questions. He's a former army officer, a corporate coach to elite high performers, and a keynote speaker. Please welcome Captain Vinod Nair.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Vinod, at a podcast. It is indeed a pleasure to have you. You are such a rare combination of depth, experience, and wisdom, and I'm sure our audience will truly love this powerful and true, honest conversation. Before we dive into big question, Vinod, I wanted to start with something personal. You've coached thousands of people, high performance, and you speak to so many people, and also run your philosophy podcast.
I
But
do.
who was Vinod Nair when nobody's watching?
I'm a dog dad. I love my dogs. I am autistic with Asperger's syndrome, so I'm a typical Asperger's person. I love being a kid. I love harassing my wife. I love health and fitness. So that's about me. I love playing tennis, going for runs, taking my dogs swimming, uh, running around, reading. I do a ton of reading. I've been a compulsive reader since I think the age of 10 or 12.
Wow.
I'd finished reading Edgar Rice Burroughs when I was in grade 6. So I regularly read maybe 1 or 2 books a week. That's been my whole life, literally.
That's really interesting. And yeah, reading it. You have been reading, and how do you manage that kind of reading? Well, it's the kind of work you do in terms. If you look at your profile, you have been training such elite organizations. So where do you get how do you balance this kind of time in terms of getting time for reading? You mentioned two books a week.
Yeah, 1 or 2 books a week, depending on the thickness and the volume or the intensity of the book. Sometimes even a thin book, if it requires a lot of processing, then it takes longer. Initially, I used to read a lot of books, and then I wound up with tons of books, not knowing what to do with them. I used to keep donating them to the Red Cross Library, carrying around my favorites. Then, several years ago, I moved to audio files, PDFs, and then audio files. Now I just listen to audiobooks. So if I'm going for a run, if I'm working out, if I'm taking my dogs out, I've got my AirPods on and I'm listening to books all the time.
Wonderful. That's really interesting in today's world, actually. And if I dive a little deeper, you started with an army, right?
Yes, I did.
So would you like to kind of throw some light on that? How did you get into how did you realize that can be a coach, or how did it all happen?
Yeah, I'm not a person who had clarity right from the beginning.
Right.
But when I was young, I just knew that I wanted to serve. I wanted to be of help. I wanted to be a person who contributes to society, to the country, to people around me. I wanted to add value.
Mhm.
And growing up, there was this huge halo effect of the army. People used to talk about the army like it's the ultimate, it's incorruptible, the best people, the best values, everything. So it just somehow became a goal in my head to join the army. And I went and wrote the exam. I remember I got some money from winning some elocutions and debates in college. Went and wrote the exams, passed the exams, bought my tickets for the interview, went to Allahabad, got interviewed, and for some reason I got selected. So, and I spent 5 years with the infantry, served in some very interesting live locations, finished up in 5 years, came out. When I came out, I took a job initially. So I was very confused. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was 27 years old, just stepped out of the army as a captain, and didn't know where I would fit into civil life. The initial low-hanging fruit was to take a job as a security officer in a 5-star hotel or a large institution. This is way back in 1995. And none of those appealed to me. I eventually wound up taking a job as a sales executive, a team manager, selling Standard Chartered Bank credit cards. Didn't like it at all. And then moved to selling mobile phones, which was a brand new product, and enjoyed it and did very well in it, but realized I wasn't meant to work in a system. And so I figured I've got to do something on my own. And the sales experience gave me the confidence that I have what it takes to do well in civil society. So I started a recruitment agency and I started doing recruitments. And the funny thing is, I didn't know about the concept of recruitment.
Okay.
I just, there was this person I knew, with close friend, very, very close friend. And he was raving about a girl in his office. And she's so pretty, she's so smart, she's the executive assistant to the director. She knows how to conduct herself. He had a huge crush on her. Right? So I was at home looking through the newspaper and I saw an ad from a multinational saying that they were hiring for the executive assistant to the director. So I went across to that company, went and met the recruitment manager. His name was Greg. And I did this whole pitch to him. I said, you placed this ad in Times of India. It must have cost you a mighty packet. And he said, yeah, lots of money. It's expensive. And I said, anyone who feels like will apply for the job. Even people who you don't want or don't fit your criteria will respond. And he said, yeah, it's a headache. So I said, at the end of it, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the right candidate. So I said, instead, you just give me your requirement. I'll send you the candidate. If you like the candidate, you pay me 50% of what you paid for the ad.
Wow.
So he looked at me for a long time and then he said, listen, I think you're trying to be a headhunter or a recruiter. And I said, yeah, you can call it that. So he said, this is a very, very old business. Once we like your candidate, we'll pay you 1 month's salary. And if the candidate leaves in 3 months, then you return the money. So that's how I learned about the recruitment business. I called my friend, asked him for that girl's number, which he very hesitantly gave me. I contacted her. She got the job. And I started my agency.
My God.
What happened was that as I used to approach companies, the HR managers used to say, why don't you come and give a talk? You've got all this military experience. You'll be a great motivation for our employees. And I was like, sure, why not? And I went, I think 3 or 4 times, I went and gave free talks here and there. And they loved it. And they kept calling me back. And then they started offering me money.
Wow.
Oh, this is great. I like this. I get to go and talk and I get paid for it. Why not? So that's how training started. And then people used to say, okay, can you talk about time management? Can you talk about presentation skills? Can you talk about communication? And then the subject spread out and I started reading. I started educating myself. I started doing courses. So it turned into many verticals, conflict management, leadership, team building, negotiation, presentation, many, many different subjects. And then I did that for the next maybe 20, 25 years. And as I kept doing it, the people I started with were also growing, right, in their careers. And pretty soon they were senior managers. And they started calling me to talk at their level. So I had to up my game. And eventually I turned into a trainer / keynote speaker. And that's how my career went.
Wow. So very beautifully kind of planned career actually, and unknowingly, I suppose. So yes, so that's really beautiful. I think your your stint at the mobile company, it helped you to build the pitch and the sales as well. And that's why, yeah. And I love the way you said that, yeah, you went to a firm and you said, okay, you put an ad. So it was a perfect pitch for a company that, okay, how, yeah, it's so much of money they're spending on. So very interesting, very intrigued. I was very intrigued to know that. How did you start? And that too without any formal coaching, because I think you had that, you had the thing in you. So yes, it just blossomed and came out actually.
Yeah. If I have to go to how I started speaking in public, it
Right.
happened when I was in college. One day, the professor came to our class and said that there's a debate. Mumbai University, it was Bombay back then, Bombay University debate.
Okay.
And we want someone to represent our college.
Mm-hmm.
I had never ever spoken in front of an audience or done any extracurricular activities in school and college.
Right. Okay.
Like everyone else, I also sat quietly. And then the professor looked at me and said, Vinod, why don't you go? And I said, sure, why not? I can go. And I landed up in Bombay University campus, Kalina campus.
Right.
And I'd done my prep. The subject was the slum problem in Bombay. I had prepared some notes. There were different speakers speaking. And as one by one they were going up, I kept looking at my notes and I said, I think I've done pretty well. I think I've got some solid points and I think I can do a good job here. And then my name was called out.
Okay.
And when my name was called out, I went up on stage and I just froze. I was gripped by stage fright, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. One of the senior lecturers or professors in the front row nodded very encouragingly because he knew I was terrified. And looking at him, I got even more scared. And I ran out from the stage. I didn't speak at all. And I went home and couldn't wrap my head around what happened. What happened? Why did I flee? Why was I so terrified? It was unnatural. And after that, I took it upon myself to figure out what happened, and I started volunteering in any activity in college to go and speak, to go and handle quizzes. Then I was the editor of the college magazine, so they sent me for courses. Then the college started sponsoring me, and I started winning elocution, so they sponsored me more to do more courses. So that's how I built up my public speaking ability. As I graduated, I also signed up with this institution called Nazareth Speakers Academy way back 1989, or was it 1990? And they were the A-class public speaking academy in Bombay back then. And they upped my game, helped me a lot. After that, military experience, you have to give briefings, you have to know how to handle questions. So that added to it. And then when I came out, it was easy. Never looked back.
Very interesting. Now, I would like to deviate a bit. As you mentioned that, you froze despite being knowing your subject well. Why did this happen to people? Because it's a very common thing. It happens to most of the people when they step on the stage for the first time, even after speaking multiple times. I just wanted to understand, why does it happen? There's a lot of stage fright even to face the camera. So since you have been there and you understand, you speak to so many and you speak to so many high performers. Why does this happen, and what should be the way to cure? Sorry, I'm just deviating from the main topic, but yeah, I thought this is important. Yes.
So a study was done several decades ago, and the study was on fear. And it turned out that the biggest fear that human beings have is not the fear of death. The number one fear is the fear of spiders.
Spiders?
Yes, that's the biggest fear human beings have. The number two fear in the order is the fear of public speaking. And number three is death.
My God, is it?
Death is number three.
Number three, okay.
Yeah. So there was this person, I can't remember who it was. Someone said that I'd rather be at a funeral, I'd rather be in the coffin than the one giving the eulogy.
My God.
It's a common fear. It's a common fear. And what happens, to answer your question on how to deal with it,
Yes.
um, you got to understand that our mechanism is the same mechanism, the body mechanism is the same mechanism that we had when we were living in forests, jungles. We've adapted to living in society and civil life here,
Right.
modern life, but the mechanism is the same.
Mhm.
So when the brain senses a threat,
Mhm.
we generally go into freeze, fight, or flight mode. There's also fawn, but these are the most popular ones. Now, if you feel threatened when you see so many people looking at you and
Right.
or taking your words so seriously, then you tend to feel a heightened sense of threat. And then the alarm system that goes off is the same as when you come across a tiger in the jungle.
Was okay.
So
So it's
your brain prepares for you to run. It starts shooting out neurotransmitters. A lot of blood goes into your legs. Blood is pulled out from places that don't need that much blood, like you're not prioritizing digesting food while running, so blood is pulled out of the stomach, which is why a common symptom is butterflies in the stomach.
okay.
You get extra energy in the legs, in the hands, you get sweaty palms. So what happens is, actually, your body is prepping for you to take flight.
Just
So
to run.
yeah, that's what's actually happening. But we don't know this. So we tend to look at it and say, oh my God, I'm falling apart. And then you spiral. So instead of spiraling, the best thing to do at that time is to use your prefrontal cortex and talk to yourself and say, this is good. I'm taking this situation seriously and I'm going to give it my best. And then you go ahead and just start doing what you're prepared for. And 2 or 3 minutes in, it'll just vanish. You'll be good to go.
Awesome. So it's just a momentary. You have to just control and you have to kind of reassure your mind. That's what you need to do.
Prefrontal cortex can take over, then yes, it'll be done in 2 or 3 minutes. But if you're still, if you loop into that fear, then it'll go on and it could overcome you. Yeah. It's my suggestion is practice as much as you can, because it's like anxiety or like stress.
Yes.
The more you do something, the easier it becomes.
Right.
If you try to do 100 push-ups in a shot, it's difficult if you've not done anything before that.
Correct. Right.
But as you keep doing them every day, you get there, and it's not so difficult anymore. It's the same with public speaking. It's a muscle. You just keep working on it. It'll build.
Absolutely. That's a very valuable point, actually. Yes. So now, now Vinod, we'll come to my serious questions and the big question actually that I have, which we'll start with. Most people, they spend their entire life climbing the ladder of success, right?
Yeah.
And arrive at the top, to find that they were leaning against the wrong wall.
Yes.
Now, how does that happen, and how do you stop it before it becomes too late?
Okay, I love your question. Thank you. I've taught at several MBA schools. I've gone as a speaker to IIMs, IITs, and many other places in India and abroad.
Right.
And what I've found is that there's a lot of emphasis in colleges and companies and all these places on goal setting. It's important to have your goals clear. If your goals are not clear, you're like a pilot who takes off not knowing where to go. So almost every professional sets goals and they keep following up to reach those goals. What I propagate and what I practice myself is that goal setting is step number 3.
Okay.
You got to start way before that. The first thing you got to know is, what is your purpose?
Right.
So when I say what is your purpose, I'm not talking about your goals in any way. I mean, why are you here? What's your vision? What is it that excites you? What is it that you can do where you'll contribute to society to your community larger than yourself. You see, if you're thinking only of yourself, saying, these are my goals, this is my goals, then it's more about accumulation.
Right.
And there's less spirituality, there's less altruism. But when you're thinking about your purpose, it's more or less altruistic. You're thinking beyond yourself. How can I contribute? What gives me inner joy?
Right.
And that might be something connected to your job, or it may be something totally different. Maybe you're making money in your job just so that you can donate money to an orphanage.
Right.
Or maybe your purpose is to give your children a better life than you've ever had.
Mm.
Right? So the first thing to do is to get your purpose clear. Now, some people know their purpose from a very young age. And some of us, like me, take time to figure out our
Yes.
purpose. So how can you know your purpose? A lot of thinking, a lot of introspecting, a lot of life experience. And then you get to know what you're good at, what gives you joy, and you set your purpose.
Right.
Once you get your larger purpose clear in your mind, then the next thing you got to do is you have to know your values. What are your values? So what is value? Value is anything that you find valuable to you, that you cannot compromise on because it tears into the fabric of your personality. So for someone, it might be, I value my parents. For someone else, it might be, I value my children.
Right.
Another person might say, I value honesty. I value doing the right thing. Right? So you set your values. So what happens is your purpose gives you a direction that you want to go in, and your values will tell you how you want to get there. What you can do, what you can't do to get there.
Right.
Okay. So let me give you an example.
Sure.
Supposing my purpose is to help children who are underprivileged. That's my larger purpose. My values are that I will not do anything that's illegal. I will always tell the truth, and I will not hurt anyone or cheat anyone in the process. Okay. So now suppose I get an offer where someone offers me an opportunity to make good money, which I can use for those children. But doing that activity means doing something illegal or hurting someone in some way.
Right. Okay.
So my value system will tell me whether I will do it or not. If you don't have a value system, then you will do something and then you'll spend years of your life with regret and hatred. Right? So first have your purpose, then have your values, then set your goals, and regularly keep checking on all three. Your goals have to align with your purpose. Your values set how you're going to go about it, and your purpose is your larger direction. Now, if you don't have all these sorted out,
Yes.
then if you imagine a scale, okay, say this is a scale. Yeah, this is a scale.
Right.
And you start your career here. You don't have clear goals, you don't have your values sorted.
Right.
Then what happens is you move from opportunity to opportunity. Someone gives you a great job, you run here. Oh, do this course and you'll make so much money. So you run here. Then you
Right.
make so much money. After 15 years, 10 years, you realize you've accumulated a lot, but your direction has been haywire. You haven't really gone anywhere. There hasn't been any movement. And you wind up feeling frustrated, feeling many successful people who've done well in life feel frustrated, feel burnt out. Why? Because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They're just chasing goals. Right? So to answer your question, if you have a larger purpose in mind, then you don't burn out so easily. You don't get frustrated. When tough times come, you know why you're going through those tough times, because you have a larger purpose. Right? If you know I'm doing this for to get to be able to contribute or donate something or for my kids, then when tough times come, you're resilient and you're like, okay, I can take this because that's the benefit I'm getting. But if you don't have your purpose, you don't have your values,
Mhm.
then your resilience goes down, and eventually you burn out, you suffer, you struggle, like many people do.
Mhm. I mean, very interesting. But I, how the world is placed right now, how our education system is right now, Vinod, I'm sure you'll agree with me. I don't think so. People do have time to even think. The children are pushed into the schools. The kids are pushed into the schools, and the purpose they're told is to, you have to go ahead, earn money, go ahead and you have to become an engineer, or you have to just choose your career. Even now, if you see in India, there are lots of kids who are committing suicide, even though they've scored such good marks, because they're so stressed. They
Yeah,
have to qualify, because that only is the, I think, the parameter, or that's the only way they can achieve something great in life. So here
yeah,
so there's a lot of I would say it's very contradictory, or it's very different from what actually you're mentioning. So how
True.
do we get that kind of alignment in terms? Do you think it should start right from the education system, from the school itself, where kids are taught to know their why first,
yeah,
rather than just going ahead and following the rat race, and you have to do this because then no, you'll be able to survive, because the world is getting expensive, and you also need to have everything as the materialistic desire. So things have dramatically changed. I know it's good to say, but most of the people suffer, I think, today, because even if you talk to the kids, they're only running because they have to do this. They don't
yeah,
even know what their why is actually. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's very important. Character building is super duper important.
mm,
Another thing that kids have to learn at a young age, and this is just my personal view,
right.
feel free to disagree. Kids have to learn to take some losses. Kids have
Right.
to learn to lose, to fail. They have to know what failure is like and how to deal with it. Many of the kids nowadays are given participation trophies. They're given a pat on the back. You're the best, even if you're not the best. And that makes them live in a cocoon. And
Mm-hmm.
when real life hits them,
Right.
they can't handle it. And that's when you have these suicides. That's when you have madness. I agree with you about the stress put on by parents and society about performance. But it's
Right.
also true that the kids are less resilient because, I remember seeing a video clip of a movie somewhere wherein there's this girl talking to her mother. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Priyanka Chopra as the mother, I'm not sure. And the girl says, I said the sky is pink and my teacher said I'm wrong. And the mother says, no, if you say it's pink, then the sky is pink. Like, really? Is that what you're going to teach your kid? What happens when real life comes and boots you up your backside? Which happens to all of us, right? We all
Absolutely.
get the rug pulled out from right beneath our feet. And
Yes.
the more resilient you are, the tougher you are, the better for you.
Mhm. Absolutely. So yes, there's a lot to be done and in that space actually.
Yes.
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 But
That's
as you
where,
write, yeah.
yeah, that's
But
where everything is.
yeah. No, but you very well said. Yeah, if we know our why, we know the vision, what we are here for, then it will give us a clarity, and then we can define our values,
Yeah.
and then subsequently the goals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We run to the goals first. So
Yeah.
yes, there is we don't know the real track actually. Yes. People think, okay, set your goals first, and then how it just moves on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I would like to move. I know it's we'll move to something which is really beyond this, and which is today it's like a buzzword, and it's, people are talking about it. It has become a very important part of our working lives, I may say. AI, the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes. So if AI, my next question is, if AI can now do most knowledge work faster, as we all are seeing and witnessing, and cheaper than humans,
Yeah.
what are humans actually worth? And what does it mean for how we define the high performance going forward?
So you got to go back in time for this.
Mm-hmm.
When the Industrial Revolution started,
Mm-hmm.
late 18th century and early 19th century, when it got into full swing, the same questions were asked. If machines
Right.
can do everything, what's our place? We don't have anything. I remember there was a time when Coca Cola entered India.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, Thumbs Up was the drink that every Indian drank.
Right.
And then there was the cola wars in India where Coca Cola and Thumbs Up went against each other. And everyone was wondering who's going to survive. everyone survived. We survived the Industrial Revolution, we survived the Cola Wars. And then when computers came in, I remember a politician from Bihar asking a question, if can your computers actually milk cows? What's the point?
My God,
And
right.
we will always survive, right? So we have these huge technology advances that happen, and then we learn to absorb them and we learn to adjust. AI is, of course, probably bigger than anything else we've faced so far. And it's growing at a speed, at an acceleration that is faster than any technology we've ever seen. In a matter of few years, or maybe even now, we won't be the smartest species on the planet anymore. So the equation will change, but we will find our feet. We will. Everyone will have their work. They'll have their purpose. There will be some flux. There'll be some people having to reinvent their careers, or re-looking at how they live. But that's just part of it.
Okay. So it's not that it will change the world completely in terms that people will lose their jobs, the fear, which is happening right now, but later on it will be like a companion. It will exist, will coexist.
Yes, we'll coexist and we'll all live in harmony. We'll learn to figure this out. We will figure it out. I'm 100% sure of that. I mean, right now there's talk of AI doing better diagnosis of illness
Yes.
than doctors. So that doesn't mean doctors will cease to exist. They'll figure out how to work together.
Absolutely, yes. So definitely the human mind will always be there, actually. So
Yeah.
they will always coexist. That's
Sure.
wonderful. It's very reassuring to hear that kind of response coming from from you, because today everybody, I think every next table, the discussion is that how AI is just taking over the jobs, and so there's a lot of questions, much more smarter than the humans, and I can see the kids completely relying on it. So yes.
Yeah,
So
but there's also the question of nuance, right? I remember my wife shared this with me some time back because she's a psychiatrist. And she was talking about this case where someone went for an exam. They came back and they started typing into the AI about the exam. And the AI said, "How was your exam?" I said, "Horrible. I did very badly. Which is the tallest building in the nearby location?" And the AI said, "Oh, I'm sorry to know about your exam results. The tallest building nearby is so and so." And that person went and promptly jumped off.
Oh
So
my God.
AI doesn't understand nuance yet. I'm not saying it won't understand in future, but like that, there'll be other mountains where human beings are required, really required, and there are things which human beings are different and will always have some uniqueness, just like AI will have its own uniqueness, right? So we learn to coexist.
Definitely. Now, that's interesting. Now, coming to my third question, why do our most hardworking, most high achieving people burn out first? And why does nobody even warn them before it happens?
Oh, it's typical work culture. Someone can handle more, you give them more. And individually, sometimes we also get high on being able to do more.
Right.
So high performers tend to say, "Oh, look at my capacity. I can put in 18 hours and 3 hours of sleep is enough for me. I'm good." And then they keep doing it till it becomes too much and they burn out. So that's one of my biggest roles as a high performance coach, is finding that peak point, which is unique to every individual. If there's no standard format, each person's capacity and senses are different. So you've got to find that place of optimum performance where you're performing at your peak, but it has to be sustainable. So that means you also have to have a balance. You have to have enough sleep. Nutrition is vital. Having a social circle, having support systems, breaks, all of these are super duper important. And it's like cars. Okay, my wife and I have two EVs, and we love driving them, and we go on long drives. But neither of us know the real mechanics of the car. If the car breaks down, we will call a mechanic. because we can't possibly know how to repair it. We don't know these things.
Mhm.
So, like that, there are specialists like myself who are specialized in helping people find their optimum performance level
Mhm.
and maintain it sustainably by having a balance in life. And you, just like I don't know how to repair a car, a
Right.
professional who's working and brilliant at his or her job
Mhm.
may not know how to figure out themselves.
Right.
That's the specialist like me who does that.
Mhm.
So that's why you have people like me who are doing this job so
Absolutely.
that others can do what they do best.
Mhm.
But
Right.
yeah, society does and companies, it's natural.
Mhm.
If someone's doing more, you'll give them more.
So I'd like to, I'd like to be a little more inquisitive to understand how do you find that the optimal level, of different people, and where exactly, like what's the mechanism, or how do you find that when you,
So
yes.
I start from a place of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I, so I ask a lot of questions right from the beginning. I
Okay.
don't come with answers, I come with questions. And I
Mm-hmm.
first gather information about the individual and understand what makes them tick, who
Mm-hmm.
they are. They neurodivergent? Are they neurotypical?
And what
Wha-
kind of question do you ask? Sorry, I'm just cutting you. Just to
It's a
understand.
it's a bunch of questions like, tell me about yourself. Tell me about a big challenge the biggest challenge you faced in your life and how
Mm-hmm.
did you deal with it? What
Mm-hmm.
do you do in your free time? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? What
Okay.
drives you? What makes you tick? What
Right.
excites you? What is it that turns you off? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So there's a whole bank of
Good
questions.
question.
What is your spiritual quotient? What is the larger picture in your brain? So the whole idea is to put together a 3 or 4 dimensional sketch
Right.
on this individual
Mm-hmm.
and then see what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, somebody might be able to feel better
Right.
playing a video game after work,
Mm-hmm.
while for someone else, it may be that they'd rather just go for a run.
Right.
So you can't recommend that the same thing to everyone. It has to be unique, right?
Right.
And the only way to find out is by asking a lot of questions and then seeing the responses, tracking the person's
Mm-hmm.
progress, seeing what's going on in their minds, how they feel,
Mm-hmm.
and you find that perfect balance over trial, practice, feedback, keep going, and then you find the optimum process. There
And
are
I'm
some
sure.
generic markers like, are you getting enough sleep? How's
Mhm.
your support system? What's your energy level? So these are generic markers, but the levels are different for every person.
Every individual. And I'm sure this will be for even for any individual who has to answer these questions, it will be a very he will also try to know because I'm sure nobody does this kind of research for themselves. That the
Yeah,
last thing we do is to know ourselves actually.
yeah.
So it will be a good exercise. And how many I would ask you like how many such burnout I wouldn't say cases, but scenarios keep on coming to you, and how do you see it quite frequent, the burnout
Oh yeah,
challenge what we talk
oh yeah,
about?
yeah.
Yes.
It's quite frequent. I can't give you a number because I've been doing
Sure.
this for 25 years now.
Right,
So that's
right.
a long time.
But I'm
But
sure it must have increased over a period of time.
it
Especially.
has, and it's less on this side of the world. It's
Mhm.
more in India
Yes.
because India has this massive middle class, which is not common in other countries like here in
Mhm.
the US and Canada. It's the middle
Right.
class is not as big as it is in India.
Mhm.
Why is the middle class so important? It's important because that's an aspirational section of society.
Right.
So everyone who's in the middle class has made it from down and wants to go up.
Right.
And so they are on fire and they're pushing themselves to get better and better. They're posting photographs of their food, they're posting photographs of their new cars, of their new
Right.
clothes. You don't see much of that over here because most people eat the same food. You know,
Mhm.
whether you're a Justin Bieber, or whether you're a regular person working in a company, you'll go to the same place and buy the same food. But in India, there are so many levels of everything that you're constantly graduating to go higher and higher and higher. So that hunger, that drive to get better, burns out more people than it does on this side of the world. There's more burnout in India for sure. It's a more aspirational lot.
Lot, definitely. Now, I also want to, since we were talking about the burnouts and the organizations, I mean, we'd like to touch upon the corporate side as well, like the and different types of leadership, right? So
Yeah.
there is a type of leader who is charming in interviews, right, and eloquent in the town halls, and completely destructive behind the doors. Now, how do you identify a narcissist CEO before the damage is done? Yes, I'm sure you must be having such thousands of cases of those guys.
You're actually right, but there's also and there's another side to it. Okay, first I'll give you the other side, then I'll come to your question.
Sure.
The other side is now, because of Instagram and TikTok, almost everyone claims to have ADHD. Almost everyone says that their ex was a narcissist. And we throw these labels around without really understanding the depth of what we are talking about.
Mhm.
It's so common to say, oh, so and so is a narcissist, or she's a narcissist. These are complex labels,
Mhm.
and it's better to use them after one is diagnosed. Before that, it's just labels that we are throwing at people, may not even be accurate. So if somebody is being pushed beyond their comfort zone and their boss feels they can do better, then they turn
Mhm.
around and say, my boss is a narcissist. He's driving me too hard.
Right. Mhm.
There is a reality there of throwing these labels without understanding the real implications of that. And even when you say narcissism or you say any of these, there is scale. Everyone is not 10 on 10 in everything, right? You can be a 2 on 10, 2 out of 10 on the narcissistic scale, and a
Mhm.
3 out of 10 on another scale. So these are really nuanced things that one has to consider before tossing labels.
Right.
And when you talk about these charming CEOs who know, or who behind the scenes are something else,
Right.
see, there's again, uh, going a little off track. Years ago, the concept was that there is only one correct type, and every other type is lesser than or wrong.
Mhm.
So there was racism, that so and so race is the correct race, and every race beneath that is going below, below, below. Or when it comes to sexual orientation, heterosexual is the only way to be, and everything else is a defect, right? The same thing was said about neurology, your neurological wiring, that if you're neurotypical, you're fine. Everyone else is a defect that needs to be treated. If you have ADHD, if you have autism, you have any of these, then something's wrong with you. Over time, there's been this concept of neurodivergence. Neurodivergence means that it's not one that's correct. There are many different types, and each type just has to be treated differently. And because it doesn't mean one is better than the other. So if someone has dyslexia, it doesn't mean that they're defective. It just means that they absorb information differently and they learn differently from you. If one is autistic, then they are again wired differently, right? Now, if you look at society, it's usually people who do something different that succeed in life.
Yes, I
You
agree.
know, I can't think of a single case where someone's done what everyone does and has achieved some exponential success. It's always someone who's broken away from the norm, who's come up with something unique. So you take music. The, the biggest music maestros are always someone who's wired differently, slightly weird characters. You look at the most successful CEOs, the wildest presidents, prime ministers, they're all wired a little differently, which has allowed them to break the common molds and come out. So when you see a high performing or a person who is different and achieving success, you should take for granted that there is something different about them. That's why they're able to break through and come out. It's not that everybody has to sleep their way to the top or everyone's daddy is supporting so they become successful. It also means they could be just wired differently. The way our society is also made, especially in India, is that when you see someone different, you usually start throwing stones at them. You call them narcissists, you call them corrupt, you call them selfish, you call them this, that. Um, Indians are also known, and I mean, we are known for a lot of good things, so I'm not trying to put Indians down. But a common negative trait is that there is crab mentality. When one tries to climb out of the cage, everyone else goes and pulls that person down, right? So when you're talking about a CEO who's on fire, who sees something different from what the employees see, you've got to give them some leeway. They are at a position which you don't understand or I don't understand. They're answerable to shareholders. They have their vision. They have realities of supply, demand, finance that an employee is not going to have access to. So they might push you harder. They might behave differently. So you've got to take all that with a pinch of salt. You cannot expect that you have a breakthrough CEO and he's going to behave like a common employee. That's just not going to work, right? If you look at an Elon Musk, he's got Asperger's, he's autistic. So his brain is wired differently. He can work for hours together without, he does something called deep work. So when you do deep work, you can get lost for days together. But that's why he's so unique and he's gotten there. And if you're a 9 to 5 person who wants to clock out at exactly 5 o'clock, work from home, that's not going to suit him. And then you will call him narcissist, you'll call him this, that. So there is a mismatch, and that's natural, between a neurotypical who's going to play by the norms and expect to do the least and get the most, and a CEO who might be neurodivergent and who's pushing boundaries and trying to take people to another level. So that gap is a reality, and you've just got to live with it. In between these two, there are, of course, some crazy, selfish, greedy bosses. And that's just what makes the world go round. It takes all types.